The Christmas letters arrived at the Colombo estate in waves, thousands of them, delivered in burlap sacks that the postal service dropped at the iron gates every December. Most were addressed to Santa Claus, North Pole, intercepted by a postal worker with connections to the family, who thought the boss might get a kick out of the misplaced holiday wishes. Vittoria Colombo didn't get kicks out of much anymore. At 42, she inherited an empire she never wanted: her father's sprawling criminal network, now legitimized through careful investments and strategic philanthropy. The Colombo name still carried weight in certain circles, whispered in backrooms and courthouses, but Vittoria had spent the last decade bleaching it clean. Shopping malls, restaurants, construction companies, all legal, all profitable, all desperately boring. She stood in her study on Christmas Eve, a glass of bourbon in hand, watching snow fall over the estate's manicured grounds. Behind her, the sacks of letters sat unopened. Her assistant had suggested she burn them. Vittoria had said no, though she couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the loneliness. The house was too big, too quiet. Her father had filled it with soldiers and supplicants. Vittoria filled it with expensive furniture and silence. She set down her glass and cut open the first sack. Most of the letters were what she expected: requests for toys, bikes, video games, children's handwriting, crayon drawings, glitter that spilled onto her Persian rug. She read a few, felt nothing, moved on. Then she found it. The envelope was different, thicker paper. No return address, postmarked from a small town 3 hours north. The handwriting was careful, practiced. The letters pressed hard into the page as if the writer had been bearing down with determination. Dear Sana, my name is Emma Chen and I am 9 years old. I know you are very busy and you probably have more important letters to read. I also know that Mom says you're not real, but I think maybe she's wrong because she's been wrong about a lot of things lately. I don't want toys this year. I don't want anything for me at all. I want you to make my mom smile again. She used to smile all the time. She would sing in the kitchen and make up funny voices for my stuffed animals and laugh so hard at movies that other people in the theater would laugh too, just because her laugh was so happy. But then Dad left. He didn't die or anything, he just left. One day he was here and the next day he wasn't. And Mom won't talk about it except to say that he made choices and now we have to make ours. She works 2 jobs now. She leaves before I wake up and comes home after dinner. Except on Tuesdays when she has her second job until 11 p.m. Mrs. Patterson from next door watches me. She's nice, but she smells like cabbage and she always wants to talk about her dead husband. Mom doesn't sing anymore. She doesn't make voices for my animals. She doesn't go to movies. Last week I heard her crying in the bathroom. She had the water running, but I could still hear it. It made my stomach feel like I swallowed rocks. No, this is a weird thing to ask for, and I know you probably can't fix people's lives with magic or whatever. But if you could do something, anything to make her happy again, I would be so grateful. I would never ask for another Christmas present ever. I would be good forever. I would do all my homework and clean my room and never complain about vegetables. Please. Sana, she's the best person in the world and she deserves to smile. Love. Emma Chen. P.S. We live at 247 Maple Street if you need to find us. The house with the broken porch light. Vittoria read the letter 3 times. She stood there in her study, surrounded by her father's leather-bound books and mounted hunting trophies, holding a piece of notebook paper that smelled faintly of strawberry lip gloss, and felt something crack open in her chest. When was the last time someone had asked her for help? When was the last time someone had asked her for anything that didn't involve money or influence or making problems disappear? She looked at the letter again. 247 Maple Street. Vittoria walked to her desk and opened her laptop. It took less than 5 minutes to find what she needed. Jennifer Chen, age 37. Worked as a medical billing clerk at St. Augustine's Hospital during the day. Waited tables at Ramona's Italian restaurant 3 nights a week. Recently divorced. Credit score in the toilet. 3 months behind on her mortgage. Vittoria kept digging. The divorce had been brutal. Christopher Chen had been having an affair with a colleague, got her pregnant and left Jennifer for her without a backward glance. No alimony. Jennifer had been too devastated to fight for it. Minimal child support that he was already 6 months behind on. The court system was backed up. Jennifer was drowning. And there it was, the foreclosure notice. The bank would take the house in February unless Jennifer could come up with $38,000. Vittoria sat back in her chair. This was fixable. Easy even. A phone call to her banker, a wire transfer. Done, but something made her hesitate. She looked at the letter again, at Emma's careful handwriting. At the PS with the address, the house with the broken porch light, Vittoria drove herself, which hadn't happened in years. Her security detail protested, but she insisted. This wasn't business. This was something else. The town was exactly what she expected: tired, forgotten, clinging to life in the shadow of closed factories and abandoned strip malls. Maple Street was in the older neighborhood, where houses that had once been middle-class dreams now sagged with deferred maintenance and hope. Number 247 was a small Cape Cod with peeling blue paint and, yes, a broken porch light. Christmas lights hung crooked along the roofline, half of them burned out. A plastic sauna in the yard had toppled over in the wind. Vittoria sat in her Mercedes for a full minute, second-guessing everything. What was she doing here? What was the plan? She could just wire the money anonymously, solve the problem from a distance like she solved everything else, but she didn't want to. She got out of the car. The doorbell didn't work. She knocked. For a long moment, nothing. Then footsteps, and the door opened. Jennifer Chen looked exhausted. That was Vittoria's first thought. Her second was that despite the exhaustion, the dark circles, the unwashed hair pulled into a messy bun, the coffee stain on her sweatshirt, she was beautiful. "Can I help you?" Jennifer's voice was wary. She held the door like a shield. Vittoria paused. She'd rehearsed this. "My name is Vittoria. I received your daughter's letter to Santa." Jennifer's expression went through several stages: confusion, recognition, horror. "Oh God, Emma, I'm so sorry." Wait, how did you get this address? "Who are you?" "I work with the postal service," Vittoria lied smoothly. "We have a program for letters that come to us." I wanted to help. A program. Jennifer's skepticism was visible. She looked at Vittoria's coat, cashmere, designer, and her boots, Italian leather, and her car at the curb. What kind of program has people making house calls on Christmas Eve? "The kind that believes in second chances," Vittoria said. "May I come in?" Jennifer should have said no. Should have closed the door, called the police, protected herself and her daughter from strangers with suspicious stories. But something in Vittoria's face, maybe the honesty there, maybe the loneliness, made her step back. 5 minutes, Jennifer said. Emma's at a sleepover, but she'd be back soon. The house was small and clean, decorated with discount store Christmas decorations that had seen better years. A plastic tree in the corner, presents beneath it wrapped in newspaper comics. The furniture was worn but cared for. Photos on the walls, Emma at various ages, Jennifer and Emma together. A few older photos with a man who'd been scissored out. "I know why you're here," Jennifer said, crossing her arms. "Emma sent that letter without telling me. I found out yesterday when she let it slip. I was going to explain to her that Santa isn't real and that we'll be fine, but," her voice cracked, "she's 9. She shouldn't have to worry about this." "No," Vittoria agreed. "She shouldn't. So what's this program? You give out gift cards? Toys?" "Because honestly, we don't need charity. You're 3 months behind on your mortgage," Vittoria interrupted gently. "The bank is foreclosing in February. Your ex-husband owes you thousands in child support and you're not seeing a dime. You work 70 hours a week and you still can't make ends meet." She paused. "I want to help with all of it." Jennifer stared at her. "How do you know all that?" "Research." "That's not normal." "That's stalking." "Yes," Vittoria admitted. "I'm sorry. I wanted to understand the situation before I came." "And now what? You're going to wave a magic wand and fix everything?" "Who does that?" "What's the catch?" Vittoria had prepared for this question and had no good answer. The truth that she was lonely and empty and a little girl's letter had made her feel something for the first time in years sounded insane. "No catch," she said. "I have resources. You need help. It's simple. Nothing's simple." Jennifer's laugh was bitter. "People don't help for free. Especially not people who can afford to help this much." They looked at each other. Vittoria saw the suspicion in Jennifer's eyes, but also hope, desperate, unwilling, dangerous hope. "Let me buy you dinner," Vittoria said. "Let me explain." If you still want me to leave after that, I will. Jennifer hesitated, then nodded. There's a diner 2 blocks from here. Emma won't be back until 9. The diner was called Ruby's and looked like it hadn't been updated since 1987. Vinyl booths, laminate tables, a jukebox in the corner playing Eagles songs. They slid into a booth in the back. A waitress appeared, older woman, name tag reading Deb, and smiled at Jennifer. Hey hun, usual? Yeah, thanks Deb. Jennifer looked at Vittoria. You? Coffee black. When Deb left, Jennifer said, So, explain. Vittoria wrapped her hands around her mug. I received thousands of letters addressed to Sana. Most of them I ignored. But your daughter's letter, she paused. It reminded me that people still believe in kindness. In miracles. I wanted to be part of that. You wanted to play Santa. Maybe? And you just happened to have the resources to pay off someone's mortgage. Yes, Jennifer studied her. You're lying. Not about the money, I believe you have it. But about why you're doing this. Vittoria felt her careful facade crack. My father died 2 years ago. He left me everything, his businesses, his properties, his reputation. I've spent every day since trying to prove I'm different from him, that I'm not just his legacy. But I'm alone in a house big enough for 20 people, surrounded by things I don't want, living a life I never chose. She met Jennifer's eyes. Your daughter's letter made me realize I've been so focused on not being my father that I forgot to be anyone at all. The honesty hung between them. That's pretty dark for Christmas Eve. Jennifer said finally, I know, also kind of sad. I know that too. Deb brought Jennifer's food: meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans. Comfort food. Jennifer picked at it. My ex-husband Christopher, he was my high school sweetheart, Jennifer said. We were supposed to be forever. That fairy tale everyone promises you. Then one day I found texts on his phone and the fairy tale ended. She laughed without humor. Turns out forever has an expiration date. I'm sorry. Don't be. He did me a favor, really? Showed me who he was before I wasted any more time. Jennifer took a bite of meatloaf. The hard part is watching Emma hurt. She blames herself, thinks if she'd been better somehow, he'd have stayed. I know it's not true. But she doesn't, she's 9. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I hate him for that. For making her doubt herself. Vittoria reached across the table and took Jennifer's hand without thinking. The contact jolted both of them. Jennifer didn't pull away. If I pay off your mortgage, Vittoria said carefully, what would you do with the extra money each month? Save it, take Emma on vacation. Buy groceries without checking my bank balance first. Jennifer squeezed Vittoria's hand. Actually relax for the first time in a year. And if I got your ex-husband's child support payments enforced? Hired a lawyer to make sure he pays what he owes? I'd cry with relief. What if I did all of that? What would you give me in return? Jennifer pulled her hand back slowly. So there is a catch. Not like you're thinking, Vittoria said quickly. I'm not asking for anything physical or God, no. I'm asking for something much more selfish, which is, let me be part of your lives. Let me know people who are real, who aren't connected to my father's world, who don't want anything from me. Vittoria felt exposed, vulnerable in a way she hadn't been since childhood. Let me have friends. Jennifer stared at her for a long moment. That's the strangest Christmas miracle I've ever heard of, she said finally. A mafia heiress wants to be friends. I'm not, Vittoria stopped. How did you know? I Googled you while you were in the bathroom. Vittoria Colombo, daughter of Anthony Colombo, who ran half the organized crime on the East Coast until his death. Now runs legitimate businesses, but still has connections. Jennifer leaned forward. You're not just rich. You're scary rich. Dangerous rich. My father was dangerous. I'm just trying to survive by adopting random families, by finding something real. They looked at each other across the diner table. 2 women carrying different kinds of weight, both looking for something they'd lost. This is insane, Jennifer said, completely. You could be a serial killer. I'm not. That's what a serial killer would say. Despite everything. Vittoria laughed. Really laughed for the first time in months. Jennifer smiled a small smile, tentative, but real. Okay, Jennifer said. Let's try this. But slowly. And if at any point this gets weird, you tell me to leave and I leave. No questions? Jennifer nodded. Deal. They shook hands across the table, sealing something neither of them fully understood yet. Emma came home at 9:30, dropped off by a minivan full of giggling girls. Vittoria had left by then, but she'd left something behind her phone number on a piece of paper. And a promise to call. Jennifer stood in her living room holding the paper, feeling like she'd stepped into someone else's life. The next morning, Christmas Day, her phone rang. It's done, Vittoria said without preamble. Your mortgage is paid in full. The deed is in your name, no liens, no debt. You own your house. Jennifer sat down hard on her couch. You what? How? Wire transfer. My banker wasn't happy about working on Christmas, but I pay him enough that he did it anyway. Vittoria, I can't, that's too much. Yes, you can. And it's not too much. It's exactly enough. Vittoria paused. Merry Christmas, Jennifer. Jennifer started crying. She couldn't help it. The relief, the shock, the sheer impossibility of it all overwhelmed her. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Now, about meeting Emma. They arranged it for 3 days later, neutral territory, a park halfway between Jennifer's house and the city. Jennifer told Emma they were meeting a friend, which was technically true, even if it left out the part about the friend being a former mafia heiress who paid off their house. Emma was suspicious from the start. Why do you have a fancy car? She asked Vittoria immediately. And why do you dress like someone in a movie? Jennifer was mortified, but Vittoria laughed. Those are excellent questions. I have a fancy car because I'm very lucky. And I dress like someone in a movie because I never learned how to dress like a normal person. Emma considered this. Are you rich? Yes, like really rich? Like Batman rich? Something like that. Cool, Emma kicked at the snow. Mom says you're her friend. But she doesn't have friends who are rich. She doesn't have friends at all, really, except Mrs. Patterson, and she doesn't count because she's old. Jennifer wanted to sink into the ground. It's okay, Vittoria said gently. She crouched down to Emma's level. Your mom and I just met. But I'd like to be her friend. And maybe yours too, if that's okay with you. Emma looked at her skeptically. Why? Because your mom seems like someone worth knowing. And so do you. That's a weird reason. I'm a weird person. Emma smiled at that. Okay, you can be our friend. But if you're mean to my mom, I'll be really mad at you. Deal? They walked through the park together, Vittoria in her designer coat, Jennifer in her discount store parka, Emma in a purple jacket covered in unicorn patches. To anyone watching, they looked like an odd family, which was closer to the truth than any of them realized yet. Over the next few weeks, Vittoria became part of their lives in small ways. Dinner on Tuesdays, coffee on Saturday mornings, helping Emma with homework, fixing the broken porch light, then the leaking sink, then the drafty window in Emma's bedroom. She hired a louder, the best she could find to go after, Christopher, for back child support. Within a month, he'd paid everything he owed plus a payment plan for the future. Jennifer cried when the check arrived. I don't know how to thank you, she told Vittoria. You don't have to thank me. That's what friends do. But it was becoming more than friendship. And both of them knew it. It happened on a Tuesday night in late January. Emma was at another sleepover. She'd been having more of those lately. Now that Jennifer could afford to reciprocate with snacks and activities, Jennifer had invited Vittoria over for dinner, something simple, just pasta and wine. They'd done this before. It should have been easy, but something was different. The air felt charged. Every accidental touch, hands reaching for the wine bottle at the same time, shoulders brushing as they moved around the small kitchen sent sparks through Jennifer's nervous system. They ate. They talked about nothing and everything. Vittoria told stories about her father's empire, the absurdity of organized crime, the strange moral codes of violent men. Jennifer talked about medical billing, the heartbreak of insurance denials, how she'd once screamed at a company representative for 30 minutes before realizing she was on hold. They laughed. They drank more wine. Can I ask you something personal? Jennifer said eventually. Always. Have you ever been in love? Vittoria was quiet for a long moment. Once, a long time ago. It didn't end well. What happened? She wanted me to choose between her and my father's world. I chose wrong. Vittoria swirled her wine. By the time I realized it, she was gone. Married someone else. Has 3 kids now, lives in California, probably doesn't think about me at all. I doubt that, Jennifer said softly. I bet she thinks about you all the time. You're kind. I'm honest. Jennifer set down her glass. Vittoria, why are you really here? And don't say friendship. We both know it's more than that now. Vittoria met her eyes. I think you know why. I want to hear you say it. Because I'm falling for you, Vittoria said simply. Because every Tuesday I count the hours until dinner. Because the thought of Emma's laughter makes my chest ache in the best way. Because for the first time in my life, I'm somewhere I chose to be, with people who don't want anything from me except my company. She paused. Because you make me want to be better than I am. Jennifer's breath caught. I'm a mess. I'm a divorced single mom with trust issues and debt and a daughter who needs stability. You deserve someone who has their life together. I don't want someone who has their life together. I want you. Vittoria, I know this is complicated. I know I'm probably the last person you should trust, given my family history. I know I'm older than you, you're 5 years older. That's not a real problem. I know I come with baggage and complications and security concerns. Jennifer crossed the space between them and kissed her dot. It was gentle at first. Testing, uncertain. Then Vittoria's hands came up to Jennifer's face and the kiss deepened. Became something desperate and hungry and long denied. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. That was either a really good idea or a really bad one, Jennifer said. I don't care which, Vittoria replied, and kissed her again. They tried to take it slow, which lasted about 3 days. By Valentine's Day, Vittoria had a toothbrush at Jennifer's house and Jennifer had a key to Vittoria's estate. They told Emma, who'd responded with, duh. I knew that already and gone back to her video game, but slow wasn't really an option. Jennifer's second job ended. Vittoria had quietly arranged with the restaurant owner to pay Jennifer's salary for a year, under the guise of a scholarship program. Jennifer had protested until Vittoria pointed out that this meant more time with Emma, and Emma's well-being was all Jennifer really cared about. They fell into a rhythm. Weeknight dinners at Jennifer's small house. Weekend mornings at Vittoria's estate, where Emma discovered the pool and the library and the room full of arcade games that Vittoria's father had installed and Vittoria had never touched. It should have been perfect, but Vittoria's world had a way of intruding. It started with the photos, paparazzi shots of Vittoria leaving Jennifer's house, of them having coffee together, of Vittoria watching Emma's soccer game. The tabloids had a field day. Colombo heiress in secret romance? From crime family to suburban family? Then came the threats, nothing direct at first. A brick through Jennifer's window. Her car keyed in the hospital parking lot. Anonymous calls warning her to stay away from Vittoria. It's my father's old enemies, Vittoria said, pacing Jennifer's living room. They think they can get to me through you. Can they? No, I've had security on you and Emma since the day we met. You've just never noticed because they're good at being invisible. Jennifer stared at her. You've had us followed? Protected. There's a difference, is there? They fought about it the first real fight. Jennifer wanted a normal life, privacy, safety for Emma. Vittoria wanted to keep them protected but didn't know how without the tools of her father's world. I can't be with someone who lives like this, Jennifer said. Emma deserves better. Emma deserves to be safe. She deserves to be free. They reached an impasse. Vittoria left. Jennifer cried. Emma, who'd heard everything from the stairs, came down and climbed into her mother's lap. Are you and Vittoria breaking up? Emma asked. I don't know, baby. That would be sad. She makes you smile. Jennifer looked at her daughter, her wise, perceptive daughter who'd written a letter to Sana asking for exactly this. She does, doesn't she? Yeah, like all the time. You sing again when she's here. You do voices for my animals. You laugh at movies. Emma hugged her. She fixed what was broken. She didn't fix me, Em. People are broken things that need fixing. I know. But she helped you remember how to be happy. Emma looked up at her. Isn't that what I asked Sana for? Jennifer started laughing through her tears. Yes, it is. Jennifer showed up at Vittoria's estate the next morning. The security guard at the gate recognized her and waved her through without question. She found Vittoria in the study, surrounded by financial reports and looking miserable. I was wrong, Jennifer said without preamble. Vittoria looked up. No, you weren't. You have every right to want a normal life. I was wrong because I forgot something important. Jennifer crossed to the desk. Normal is overrated. Happy is better. And I'm happy with you, even with the security? The complications? Especially with those. Because they mean you care. Because you're trying to protect us. Because, Jennifer took a breath. Because I love you. And love means accepting the complicated parts along with the easy ones. Vittoria stood slowly. You love me? Yes, I think I have for a while now. I was just too scared to admit it. I love you too, Vittoria said. So much it terrifies me. They came together in the middle of the study, holding each other like anchors. So what do we do? Jennifer asked. How do we make this work? We compromise. I'll reduce the security to reasonable levels, just enough to keep you safe without making you feel imprisoned. And you'll let me take precautions without fighting me on every detail. I can do that. And we'll be honest with Emma about everything. She deserves to know what she's part of. Agreed. They sealed it with a kiss that turned into several kisses, which turned into Vittoria locking the study door and showing Jennifer exactly how much she'd missed her in the last 24 hours. Later, tangled together on the leather couch, Jennifer said, You know Emma's going to be insufferable about this, right? She thinks she manifested our whole relationship with a letter to Sana. She kind of did, though. Don't tell her that. Her ego is already huge. Vittoria laughed. Too late. I'm pretty sure she knows she's the mastermind of this whole operation. Great, we're being managed by a 9-year-old. Could be worse. How? She could have written to the Easter Bunny instead. Think of the therapy bills. Jennifer swatted her. You're ridiculous. You love me anyway. Unfortunately, yes. By spring, they'd found their rhythm. Jennifer sold her house, a decision that hurt but made sense. She and Emma moved into the estate, which Vittoria had been redecorating anyway to make it feel less like a mausoleum and more like a home. Emma got the room with the best view and immediately covered it with posters of boy bands and soccer players. Jennifer went back to nursing school, which she'd always wanted to do but couldn't afford. Vittoria covered the tuition without blinking. They fought about it for approximately 10 minutes before Jennifer accepted that this was Vittoria's love language. Solving problems with resources she'd never asked for but had inherited anyway. Emma flourished. She joined the swim team at the community center, which Vittoria had renovated and expanded, creating a whole program for underprivileged kids. She got straight A's. She started calling Vittoria V and climbing into her lap during movie nights. The threats stopped. Vittoria had made it clear, through channels Jennifer tried not to think about too hard, that her family was off limits. The people who understood what that meant backed off. The people who didn't learn quickly, they were happy, not perfect. They still fought about security measures and Jennifer's stubborn independence and Vittoria's tendency to fix everything with money. But happy in the way that matters. The way that survives arguments and stress and the daily grind of life. 1 year after Emma's letter to Sana, they threw a Christmas party. The estate was transformed, lights everywhere. A massive tree in the foyer, catering from the best restaurants in the city. Vittoria invited business associates and Jennifer invited her coworkers from the hospital, and Emma invited half her class. In the middle of the party, Emma tugged on Vittoria's sleeve. Can I show you something? Vittoria let herself be led upstairs to Emma's room. The girl pulled a shoebox from under her bed and opened it carefully. Inside was the original letter to Sana, along with dozens of photos Vittoria and Jennifer having coffee. The three of them at the park, family dinners, movie nights, everyday moments captured and saved. I keep them here, Emma said. So I remember that magic is real. Vittoria's throat tightened. I know you're not actually Santa. I'm not a baby. Emma rolled her eyes. But you showed up because of my letter. You made Mom smile again. You made us a family. She looked up at Vittoria with serious eyes. That's magic, even if it's not the North Pole kind. Vittoria knelt down and pulled Emma into a hug. You're the one who made the magic happen. You're the one who was brave enough to ask for help. So we both did it? Yeah, we both did it. Downstairs, Jennifer was looking for them. She found them sitting on Emma's bed, looking through the shoebox together. There you are, Jennifer said. People are asking where she stopped, seeing their faces. What's going on? Just remembering, Vittoria said. How we got here. Jennifer sat down next to them. And they looked through the photos together, a strange exchange. Family built from desperation and loneliness and a child's unwavering belief that someone, somewhere might answer her letter. The proposal happened on a Tuesday. That seemed appropriate, given that Tuesdays had become their day, the day they'd first met at the diner. The day of their weekly dinners that had turned into something more. Vittoria had a superstitious attachment to Tuesdays now, as if the day itself held some kind of magic. She'd been planning it for months. Not the elaborate public spectacle that someone with her resources might be expected to orchestrate, but something intimate. Something that was just theirs. Jennifer had taken Emma to a soccer tournament 3 hours away. They'd be gone all weekend. Vittoria had the estate to herself, which was normally something she hated. Too much space, too much silence, too many reminders of the loneliness she'd escaped. But tonight, the space was perfect. She'd transformed the study, the room where she'd first opened Emma's letter 3 years ago, into something unrecognizable. Candles everywhere, flowers, Jennifer's favorites, white roses and lavender, photographs covering the walls. Not just photos of the 3 of them, but the whole journey, the diner on that first night. Emma's soccer games, holidays, ordinary Tuesdays. In the center of the room, on the same leather couch where they'd first made love, she placed a box. Not a ring box. Something bigger. Jennifer came home Sunday evening, exhausted from a weekend of soccer games and hotel rooms and Emma's boundless energy. She found Vittoria in the study, sitting in the dark except for the candles. What's... Jennifer stopped, taking in the room. What is all this? Come here, Vittoria said softly. Jennifer crossed the room, her eyes moving from photograph to photograph, seeing their life displayed like an art installation. Vittoria, what's going on? I wanted to show you something. Vittoria picked up the box. 3 years ago, I was standing in this room, reading letters from children I never met, feeling nothing. And then I found Emma's letter. She handed the box to Jennifer. Inside was the original letter, preserved in a frame, along with something else, a leather journal. I've kept a journal since that night, Vittoria continued. Every day. Every moment that mattered. Every time Emma made me laugh, every time you smiled at me across the dinner table, every argument we had and how we fixed it. Every single reason I'm grateful that Emma Chen wrote a letter to Sana and it somehow ended up with me. Jennifer opened the journal, her eyes scanning Vittoria's precise handwriting. The first entry was dated December 24th. 3 years ago, today I received a letter from a child asking me to make her mother smile. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'm the right person for this. But something about her words made me want to try. Made me want to be someone who could answer impossible prayers. Jennifer's hands shook as she turned the pages, seeing their entire relationship documented in Vittoria's words. There are 3 volumes now, Vittoria said. 3 years of reasons why I love you. Why I love Emma. Why I want to spend the rest of my life making sure you both keep smiling. She slid off the couch and onto one knee. Jennifer's caught. Jennifer Chen. You crashed into my life in the most unexpected way. You and Emma gave me something I didn't know I needed, a family, a purpose, a reason to be better than my past. You taught me that love isn't about grand gestures or fixing everything with money. It's about showing up. About being present. About choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. Vittoria pulled out a ring box velvet. Vintage, containing a ring that had belonged to her grandmother. One of the few pieces of her family history that wasn't tainted by violence. Will you marry me? Will you let me be your wife, Emma's mother, and the luckiest person in the world? Jennifer was crying. You're not supposed to make me cry when you propose. Is that a no? It's a yes, you ridiculous woman. Yes, yes to all of it. Vittoria slipped the ring onto Jennifer's finger, a perfect fit. Because of course she'd measured months ago. Borrowing one of Jennifer's other rings and having the jeweler size it exactly, they kissed long and deep, tasting salt from Jennifer's tears and promise from each other's lips. "We should tell Emma," Jennifer said when they finally broke apart. "Already did." "What?" Vittoria smiled sheepishly. "I asked her permission 3 months ago." She said, and I quote, "Duh, obviously you should marry Mom. What took you so long?" Jennifer laughed through her tears. "Of course she did. She also designed the ring." "She what?" "Well, not designed exactly. But I showed her 5 options and she picked this one. Said it looked like something from a fairy tale. She's 11 years old and already planning my wedding." "Our wedding?" "And yes, she is a binder." "A binder?" "With ideas, themes, color schemes. She's been working on it since I asked her permission." Jennifer shook her head, still laughing. "We're getting married. We are. You know, this is going to be huge news. The Colombo heiress marrying a divorced nurse with a kid." "The Colombo heiress marrying the love of her life," Vittoria corrected. "And yes, I know. But I don't care what they say. Let them talk. Your business associates can accept it or leave. I'm done living my life for other people's approval." Vittoria took Jennifer's hands. "I want this. I want you. I want Emma. I want the chaos and the soccer games and the family dinners. I want all of it. Even when Emma's a teenager and starts slamming doors? Especially Ben." They sat together on the couch, Jennifer admiring her ring in the candlelight, Vittoria holding her close. "I can't believe this started with a letter to Sana," Jennifer murmured. "Best letter I ever received. Should we keep it? For Emma? Already planning to? Along with these journals. Someday when she's older, she can read them. She can see exactly how much her bravery changed everything." Jennifer turned to face Vittoria. "You know she's going to want to make a speech at the wedding. I'm counting on it, and she'll probably cry. So will I. This is going to be the sappiest wedding in history." "Good," Vittoria said. "After everything we've been through, we've earned the right to be sappy." Emma took her role as unofficial wedding planner with the seriousness of a military general. Within a week of the engagement, she commandeered the estate's formal dining room, transforming it into a war room complete with mood boards, fabric samples, and a timeline that would have made a professional event coordinator weep with envy. "Okay, so I'm thinking late spring," Emma announced at family dinner 2 nights after the proposal. "May or June, the gardens will be perfect." "Gardens?" Jennifer looked at Vittoria. "What gardens?" "I may have hired a landscaping company," Vittoria admitted. 6 months ago. To restore the estate's original gardens. "You hired landscapers 6 months before you proposed?" "I was optimistic." Emma continued, undeterred. "The ceremony should be outside, but we need a tent backup in case it rains. And I think we should do a mix of your families." Jennifer and Vittoria exchanged glances. Jennifer said carefully, "My family is just my mom, and she lives in Florida." "And V's family is complicated," Vittoria finished. "Most of them won't come. The ones who shouldn't." Emma's face fell. "Oh, but," Vittoria added quickly, "we have other people. Your friends from work, my business associates who've become actual friends. The soccer team parents, Mrs. Patterson, who still smells like cabbage but means well," Jennifer interjected. "Exactly. We'll have plenty of people there." Vittoria reached across the table to squeeze Emma's hand. "This wedding isn't about obligation or tradition. It's about celebrating with people who actually care about us." Emma brightened. "So basically, we can do whatever we want. Within reason. Can I have a DJ?" "Sure, and a photo booth?" "Why not? And can I walk you both down the aisle?" Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "Baby, of course. And can I wear a suit instead of a dress? Because dresses are stupid and I look better in suits anyway." Vittoria laughed. "You can wear whatever makes you happy." Emma pumped her fist. "Yes. This is going to be the best wedding ever." She wasn't wrong. The next 6 months were a blur of decisions and preparations. Jennifer's mother flew up from Florida and despite initial reservations about her daughter marrying a woman, and a woman with the Colombo name no less, was won over within 24 hours of meeting Vittoria. "You make my daughter happy," Margaret said simply. "That's all I needed to know." They kept the guest list small, 75 people, mostly friends rather than obligation invites. Vittoria's business associates who'd proven themselves trustworthy over the years. Jennifer's coworkers from the hospital who'd supported her through the divorce and beyond. Emma's soccer team and their families, who'd become like extended family themselves. No one from Vittoria's father's old world. She'd made that decision firmly, drawing the line between her past and her future. The invitations went out in March simple. Elegant cards designed by a local artist Emma had found. Jennifer, Chen, and Vittoria Colombo, together with their daughter Emma, invite you to celebrate their marriage. June 15, 2026, the Colombo estate. That last line caused some gossip. The reclusive Colombo estate, which most people had never seen, would be opened for a wedding. The local paper tried to get an interview. Vittoria politely declined. "This isn't a society event," she told the reporter. "It's a family celebration." Nothing more, but Emma had other ideas. "What if we live stream it?" she suggested one night at dinner. "Absolutely not," Jennifer said immediately. "Hear me out. Not like publicly, but for the people who can't come. Like Dad." Silence fell over the table. Christopher Chen hadn't been mentioned in months. He'd signed away his parental rights as part of the adoption, paid his back child support, and essentially vanished from their lives. Emma seemed fine with the thrived, even but occasionally, like now, she'd bring him up. Jennifer said gently, "Your father made his choices." "I know. And I don't miss him or anything, but..." Emma looked down at her plate. "He should see that we're okay. That we're better than okay. That we're happy without him." Vittoria and Jennifer looked at each other, having one of their silent conversations. "If you want to send him a recording afterward," Vittoria said carefully, "that's your choice. But I don't think we should live stream the wedding." "Because it's private?" "Because it's ours. And I don't want to spend our day wondering if someone on the internet is watching." Emma considered this, then nodded. "Okay, but I still want to send him a video." "So he knows." "So he knows what?" Jennifer asked. "That his leaving didn't break us. That we found something better." After Emma went to bed, Jennifer curled up next to Vittoria on the couch. "Do you think we're doing the right thing with her relationship with Christopher?" "I think we're letting her process it her way," Vittoria said. "She's angry at him, but not destroyed by him. That's healthy." "You sound like a therapist." "Emma's therapist sounds like a therapist. I just listen when she talks." Jennifer smiled. "You're good at this, the parent thing. I'm learning. Mostly from you. We're learning together." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fire burn down in the fireplace. 6 weeks, Jennifer said eventually. 6 weeks until what? "Until you're stuck with me forever." "I'm already stuck with you." "The wedding just makes it official." "Romantic. I can be more romantic at the actual wedding." "You'd better be." "Emma has a whole speech prepared about how we're soulmates." "We are soulmates. Don't tell her that. Her ego is already impossible." Vittoria laughed and pulled Jennifer closer. 6 weeks. Then they'd stand in front of their friends and family and promise forever to each other. It seemed simultaneously impossible and inevitable, like everything about their relationship. June 15th dawned clear and perfect, as if the universe had decided to cooperate for once. Vittoria woke up in the guest house they'd spent the night apart at Emma's insistence. It's bad luck to see each other before the wedding. And found a note slipped under her door. "Dear V, today you're marrying my mom." That's pretty cool. "I just wanted to say thank you. 3 years ago, I wrote a letter asking Sana to make Mom smile again. I didn't know that would mean you showing up and becoming part of our family. But I'm really glad it did. You're not perfect. Sometimes you work too much, and sometimes you worry too much, and sometimes you try to fix things with money when really we just need you to sit with us and be present. But you're perfect for us." Mom laughs now, like, all the time. She sings in the kitchen and makes up voices for my stuffed animals, even though I'm too old for that now. But don't tell her. She's happy in a way she wasn't before you, and you're happy too. I can tell. You smile more. You make jokes. You learned how to relax. We fixed each other, I think. Like how Emma asked Sana to fix Mom, but really we all fixed each other. Anyway, this is getting mushy and Emma says I'm too young to be mushy, so I'll stop. Welcome to the family, officially. Love, EMMAPS, don't cry when you read this. You'll mess up your makeup. Vittoria cried anyway. Jennifer woke up in the master bedroom to Emma jumping on her bed. Mom, wake up. It's your wedding day. Emma, it's 6 in the morning. So, we have a lot to do. Hair, makeup, getting dressed, taking pictures, crying happy tears. I'm not crying. You will. You cried at my soccer championship game. You're definitely crying at your own wedding. Jennifer pulled Emma down into a hug. How are you this excited? Because you're marrying V. Because we're going to be a real family. Because I get to wear a suit and give a speech. And Emma stopped. Are you nervous? A little. Don't be. V loves you so much it's actually kind of gross sometimes. Jennifer laughed. Gross? Yeah, like how she looks at you when she thinks no one is watching. Or how she saves the last cookie for you even though she wants it. Or how she learns the words to all your favorite songs even though she hates country music. She does that? Duh, Mom, pay attention. Jennifer pulled Emma closer, breathing in the scent of her daughter's shampoo. Strawberry, always strawberry. I love you, you know that? I know. I love you too. Emma squirmed away. Now get up. Margaret is coming at 7 to start on your hair and she texted me like 5 times already. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 o'clock, giving them plenty of time for photographs as the afternoon light softened into evening. The estate gardens had been transformed. White chairs arranged in a semicircle around a wooden arch covered in flowers. String lights hanging between the trees, waiting for sunset. A tent nearby just in case, but the sky remained cloudless. Guests arrived in clusters, dressed in their best, murmuring appreciation for the grounds. Many of them had never been to the estate. Some had driven for hours to be there. Emma, resplendent in a navy suit with a lavender tie that matched the flowers, greeted people at the garden entrance with a seriousness that made several guests smile. Thank you for coming, she said to each person, shaking hands like a tiny adult. Please find your seat. The ceremony starts at 4. At 3:55, a string quartet began to play. The guests fell silent. Jennifer appeared first, walking alone, radiant in a simple ivory dress that fell to her ankles. No veil, no train, just her beautiful and nervous and smiling through happy tears that had started the moment she'd seen the filled seats. Then Vittoria, also alone in a tailored charcoal suit that made her look like exactly what she was, powerful, elegant, and completely transformed by love. They met in the middle of the aisle. Emma stepped forward. She'd been hiding at the side, waiting for her cue, and took both their hands. Together, the 3 of them walked to the arch. The officiant, a retired judge who'd known Vittoria's father, but had chosen to see her as separate from his legacy, smiled at them. Friends and family, she began, were gathered here to celebrate something extraordinary. Not just the marriage of 2 people who love each other, but the creation of a family built on choice, courage, and the belief that it's never too late to find home. She spoke about their journey, how they'd met, how they'd grown together, how Emma had been the catalyst for everything. Then it was time for the vows. Jennifer went first, her voice shaking but clear. Vittoria, 3 years ago I was drowning. I was working 2 jobs, struggling to keep my daughter housed and fed, watching my own dreams disappear under the weight of just surviving. I'd forgotten what happiness felt like. And then you showed up at my door with a ridiculous story about a postal program and everything changed. She paused, gathering herself. You didn't just save me. You saw me. You saw past the exhaustion and the fear and the walls I'd built, and you decided I was worth knowing, worth loving. You gave me back my dreams and then added new ones I never dared to imagine. You gave Emma a parent who shows up, who cares, who learned about soccer even though you think sports are boring. Laughter rippled through the guests. And you gave me back myself, the version of me who sings and laughs and believes in possibility. I promise to spend the rest of my life showing you that you made the right choice, that we're worth the risk you took. That love isn't just about grand gestures, though you're pretty good at those, but about the everyday choice to be present, to be real, to be ours. I love you. I choose you, today and always. Vittoria waited until Jennifer finished wiping her eyes, then began, Jennifer, Emma asked Santa to make her mother smile again. What she didn't know was that she was also saving someone else, a woman who had everything except a reason to care about any of it. I was living in my father's shadow, trying to prove I was different while slowly becoming exactly what I feared. Alone, isolated, defined by wealth instead of worth. She looked at Emma, then back at Jennifer. You taught me that family isn't about blood or legacy or the name you inherit. It's about who shows up, who stays, who sees you at your worst and loves you anyway. You let me into your life when you had every reason not to trust anyone, especially someone with my history. You let me love Emma. You let me be flawed and learning and sometimes wrong. You gave me permission to be human. Her voice cracked. I promise to honor that gift every day. To be worthy of the trust you've placed in me. To show up for every soccer game and school play and ordinary Tuesday dinner. To choose you and Emma over everything else. To build a life with you that's defined by love instead of obligation, by choice instead of expectation. You make me want to be better. You make me better. I love you more than I thought possible, and I promise to spend our life together proving it. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. The rings were exchanged, simple platinum bands engraved with the date of Emma's letter. By the power vested in me by the state, the judge said, I now pronounce you married. You may kiss your bride. They did, to applause and cheers, and Emma yelling, finally. When they broke apart, Emma grabbed both their hands and raised them in the air like a referee declaring a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, she announced to the crowd, my moms. The applause grew louder. The reception was exactly what Emma had envisioned. Elegant but fun, formal but not stuffy. Dinner under the tent, toasts that made people laugh and cry, dancing. As the sun set and the string lights created a canopy of stars. Emma's speech was, as predicted, the highlight. So 3 years ago, I wrote a letter to Santa. I asked him to make my mom smile again because she'd stopped being happy after my dad left. I didn't know that Santa was actually going to be a scary, rich lady with a complicated past who would show up at our house and accidentally fall in love with my mom. Laughter from the crowd. But I'm really glad it happened that way, because Vittoria, she didn't just make Mom smile. She made all of us better. She taught me that family is about choosing each other, not just being stuck with who you're related to. She showed Mom that it's okay to accept help, even from people who seem too good to be true. And she proved that sometimes the best things in life come from the strangest places. Emma looked at her mothers, both of whom were crying. I asked Santa for a miracle and I got a family. I got 2 moms who love each other and love me. I got a life that's weird and complicated and perfect. So thank you, Santa, whoever you are. And thank you, V, for reading a random letter from a kid you didn't know and deciding to show up anyway. You changed everything. She raised her glass of sparkling cider. To my moms. To us. To miracles. To miracles, the crowd echoed. Later that night, after the last guest had left and Emma had finally gone to bed, protesting the whole way that she wasn't tired, Jennifer and Vittoria stood in the garden where they'd been married. The lights were still on, making the space glow like something from a dream. We did it, Jennifer said, leaning against Vittoria. We did. We're married. We are. Emma's speech made me cry. Everyone's speech made you cry. Jennifer laughed. Fair. They swayed together, dancing to music only they could hear. Do you ever think about how close we came to missing each other? Jennifer asked. If Emma hadn't written that letter, if it hadn't ended up with you, if you'd just thrown it away like all the others. I think about it all the time, Vittoria admitted. How fragile this all was. How easily it could have been different, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Jennifer turned to face her wife, that would take some getting used to. I love you, Mrs. Colombo. I love you, Mrs. Colombo. They kissed under the stars in the garden of their home, surrounded by the evidence of their impossible, improbable, perfect love story, and somewhere in the house in a frame on the mantel, a letter to Santa remained a reminder that bravery and hope and the willingness to ask for help can change everything.